Yes, what is up, everybody? Thank you for listening to the IHUNT podcast, and I am your host, Jason Hamlet. Yeah, this is episode number 006, and this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. It's just going to be me in the studio. I don't have anybody on the line. I was supposed to have Chance and Brody on the line from Whitetail Instinct. Things kind of fell through yesterday. I wasn't able to get in touch with them. A lot of things on my end kind of hurt that. But we are looking to reschedule, and I will hopefully have them on the line in the next couple weeks, and I'll be looking forward to that show. They have a great website, Whitetail Instinct. They do short films, so check out their short film called Unfilled, which covers their 2016 whitetail season. It's actually a pretty good video, so I encourage you to check it out. As for this week's episode, it's going to be a quick one. I'm just going to kind of give you guys a rundown on my hunt this morning out here in Southwest Ohio, my public land hunt for some long-beard tom turkeys. But it was a eventful morning. It was a depressing morning, but it was a learning experience. That's the best thing I can take from it, is I feel like I've learned some valuable lessons when it comes to chasing these turkeys. So let's get right into it. I woke up this morning bright and early at 4 a.m. and made the 45-minute drive out to some public land down here in Southwest Ohio. And it started off good. I mean, I got there and there was nobody else in the parking lot, so that's always a good sign when you're on public land, is that you do not see any other cars. So I beat everybody out there, so I had my pick of the to be able to sit anywhere I wanted to in the woods. Now, I ended up sitting in the same place I did last week, because the last week I went out and roosted a bird. And this week I was not able to get out and roost any birds, so I figured I would just sit in the same spot because I knew they were roosting there before, and I was just wishful thinking that they would be roosting there again today. Well, it turns out they were not roosting there. I got in there and got set up. I didn't throw out any decoys. I didn't even bring any decoys with me, and sat in front of a tree, and they started gobbling, but they weren't anywhere near me. They were way off in the distance, sounding like about 4 or 5 toms, and they were pretty much at the other end of the property. So I felt kind of depressed right off the bat. I hung in there, gave some soft calls. I didn't want to do too much calling, because I know these birds have been probably called to a lot in the first week of the season, so I didn't want to raise any alarms. That was at least my thought process. I sat there till probably about 7:30, so probably about an hour after the sun rised, and I started thinking to myself if I should move or not. I mean, I could hear these toms raising all kinds of hell off in the distance, and it sounds like that's where the action was at. So I was contemplating on making my way through the woods into that direction. Now, mind you, I hunt public land, so I'm always a little gun shy when it comes to moving through the woods on public land. Like, I take it like, I'm a defensive driver, so I feel like I'm a defensive hunter as well. I don't trust other drivers just like I don't trust other hunters, and I hate walking through the woods on public land. I don't know, it just scares me. I know that's something I got to get over, because it's the one of the most effective ways to hunt turkey is to do the run and gun, but it is dangerous on public land. You gotta be smart, and you gotta keep your head about you. And I'm new to this whole process, so it's about trusting myself and putting the confidence in myself of being able to move through the woods and be aware of my surroundings and pay attention and making sure I'm not getting in anybody's line of fire and not chasing a bird that somebody else is chasing. But I felt pretty good about moving, because I hadn't heard anybody else doing any hen calls, any box calls, any locator calls that I was able to identify. So I felt like I was pretty solo in this section of the woods. So I got up and got my stuff together and started making my way through the woods, tried to beeline towards where I heard a couple toms gobbling at. And wouldn't you know it, I got about 20 yards up this path from where I was sitting, and I hear a rustle in the bush to my left. So I quickly, turn and look, and I see a tom walking through the brush. And obviously this was, I caught a glimpse of him. I don't know how big, I don't know if he was big, or I don't know what his beard looked like. I didn't get that great of a look at him. I just saw his bright red head and bobbing through this little opening in the weeds. And I saw he was heading towards the direction I was just sitting at. So of course I tried to make a loop around back the direction I came to see if I can head him off any, and he was already gone. I know he had to see me and probably heard me, and he was heading in the exact direction. It looked like he walked right towards the tree that I was just sitting at, where I got up from. So lesson number one is that I should have been a little bit more patient. I should have waited probably till about 9 o'clock before I decided to move. I had confidence in that spot, but without hearing any gobbles, I got up and I should have waited it out. I could have been 10 minutes from having a perfect shot of a big tom this morning. So that was depressing in and of itself, but right there, good lesson learned. That's what everybody has told me on Twitter. Everybody I ask for advice on turkey hunting, everybody always says, patience. They've been stressing patience, and I showed zero patience this morning. I think it bit me in the ass. So, being as though I just blew that opportunity, I still didn't want to sit there. So I made my way back in the direction I was heading originally. These two toms off in the distance were still gobbling. So I slowly and methodically and patiently made my way through the woods. I would do some clucks here and there, trying to get a response just in case there was a turkey around, and I didn't hear anything aside from these off in the distance, and they weren't really responding to my calls, but I wasn't really calling really loud either. So I was like glassing as I would walk and trying to see if I could see anything, and I ended up having to go through some thorn bushes and down this big steep ravine. And the area of woods I was making my way through was a lot of pine thickets, and it was thick. You couldn't see too far in front of you, so I was really just trying to be as quiet as I can and not make any noise as I'm making my way towards these turkeys gobbling. And they would gobble every now and then, and every time I'd hear them, I'd change my course towards their direction, and they'd get louder and louder. And then I get to I'm pulling up my GPS map as I'm walking too, because this is a section of woods that I really haven't explored too much or am very familiar with. And I could see I was coming up towards a creek that I was getting closer to. So I get up to this creek, and we had just gotten a lot of rain, so this creek was pretty deep and pretty, I guess it was fast moving, but I knew I had to cross it because the turkeys that were gobbling was on the other side of it, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get them to cross over, and I wanted to get on the opposite side of the creek so that way I can try to set up over there on the side that they were at. So I go down this steep embankment, and wouldn't you know it, I bust my ass on the way down, slide down into the creek, so I get soaking wet. That was an awesome way to keep your hunt going. And then but luckily I was wearing rubber boots, so at least my feet were dry. So I cross the creek, get up on the other side, and start making my way through another little patch of woods. And I can see in my GPS that the patch of woods on the opposite side of this creek is very narrow, and it's going to end up opening into a field. And I can hear these turkeys gobbling, and I'm like, man, these gobblers are probably out in this field, because that's the direction I headed from, and I know that they were far enough away to where they weren't in these woods I was at. So, and I'm talking, we have a steep embankment that I had to climb up to get up to the edge of these woods to the field. So my goal was I was going to slowly crawl my way up, not make any noise, and try to get up to the top of this embankment and get out of this edge of this woods and try to check out this field and see if they're out there. And I hadn't heard them gobble in a minute. So, but I was still hoping they were out in this field. And I was also hoping it wasn't some other hunter doing a gobble call, which did cross my mind. That's why I was kind of really wanting to be easy about easing my way up this embankment, and I didn't want to get my head shot off. So I get about halfway up, and I realize, okay, now would be a good time to throw a locator call so I can try to hear where they're at, and also give me an idea of if it's another hunter or if it's actually turkeys in this field. So I get halfway up this embankment, and I give my crow call a few knocks, and of course, right away, boom, 2 gobbles. And I'm talking, these gobbles were right on top of me. They were, it was the loudest gobbles I ever heard. I'm like, oh shit, they are right on the other side of this. They're right where I plan on going up. That's where these turkeys were at. They weren't out in the field. They were on this edge of these woods. So I get down on my belly and slowly crawl up this embankment, getting soaking wet, getting muddy. But at this point, I didn't care because I knew I had some toms here, and I wanted to try to get up and put myself in position where I can get a shot. So I'm crawling on my belly up this embankment, and right as I get to where I'm about to get out of the woods and into the field, not really into the field, but get myself where I can get a view of the field, I hit my crow call again. And again, right away, right on top of me. I'm like, okay, they are right here. Like, I can't see too far because I got a bunch of brush in front of me, but I know they're right there. So I make my way I just crawl about another couple yards, this final couple yards out in this embankment. And I look to my left, and there they both are, standing 10, 15 yards from me. I don't think they knew I was there. I was pretty quiet and moved very, very slow. But the direction they were at, I couldn't move my gun because I was laying on my belly and my gun is facing forward, and they're off to my left, and I couldn't pull my gun to the left either because I had brush and small trees preventing my gun from swinging that way. So I'm watching these turkeys off in the left, and they are raising all kinds of hell. I mean, they're not really gobbling, but they're just clucking, cluck, 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 both of them, cluck, 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 cluck. And like I said, they were probably 10, 15 yards, and this was driving me crazy because I could not get my gun in position to shoot. And they were walking, they were going back and forth over to my left to where I was anticipating they were going to walk right in front of where my gun is pointing at. And that's what I was hoping on. That's what I was counting on. But every time they'd get to be about 5 steps away from stepping right out into front of my gun, they'd stop, turn back around, walk 10 yards the opposite direction, clucking, stop, walk back my way 10 yards, stop. I mean, they were just going back and forth. This went on for probably 20 minutes, and I just kept telling myself, be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient. My whole goal was that they were going to just strut. They were just going to walk right in front of me, and I would just be able to just blast one of them. That's what I was hoping on. Now, it got to the point to where after about 20 minutes, they came up one last time, stopped again at the same spot they would keep stopping at, and then walked back to the left. And they walked further this time than they had in the past. So I knew I had an opportunity at this point to try to inch my way a little further out to where maybe then I could rotate my gun to the left. So I crawl a couple more feet out, get myself to where I can get my head around this bush that was blocking me, and I could see them standing 15 yards down the edge of this wood line, and they were pointing towards the woods like they were getting ready to walk into the woods. And I have no idea, but this is what cost me today, is I panicked, and instead of being patient, I went ahead and jockeyed my gun around, laying on the ground, tried to line up a shot. And, you know, I had a good shot at this point, but I've never taken a shot from the ground. I've never taken a shot laying down. I know I didn't have my gun rested right. I mean, just nothing was right about this shot. I shouldn't have took this shot, but I was so worried they were going to go in these woods and then I wasn't going to see them again. And I didn't want to leave myself in, I didn't want to have regrets to not taking a shot. So I ended up taking the shot, and I missed completely. And the one took off into the woods, and the other one just stood there and didn't move. So by this point, I figure I've already shot. He's still standing there. I stood straight up, and he started running away, and I took another freaking a prayer of a shot as he's running away at him, and he takes off flying. Oh, it was pretty depressing. I know what I did wrong. I should have been more patient. When I saw them going into the woods, I should have let them just go into the damn woods. And I would have gave myself an opportunity to get set up on that field line, and then I could have started calling. They were definitely looking for a hen. They were definitely out patrolling. I mean, they were worked up. Heads were bright red. I mean, I know I could have got them to come back if I would just let them go a few feet into the wood line to where I could have got myself in a better shooting position, gave them a couple clucks. They probably would have came running right out, and I would have been set up better to take the shot, and I could have had me a bird this morning. But now I know. I'm learning. You know, this is one of the things that when you're new to turkey hunting, like myself is, and you don't have somebody who is experienced at turkey hunting to go with you, to show you. I mean, I'm kind of learning this as I go, kind of teaching myself, and, you know, mistakes are going to happen, and I can't beat myself up too much about it. I got to look at the positive and look at the situation and just realize what I did wrong. I needed to be patient. I know you guys have been telling me this. I needed just to let them go, set up, and then make a few calls and see where that went from there. If they didn't come back out, they didn't come back out. But, I mean, the shot I took was a prayer of a shot, and it really didn't have very great odds of connecting. And I just got excited about having turkeys in front of me. I haven't really had that yet in my turkey hunting career. So, like I said, it's a lesson learned. I hope you guys who are new to turkey hunting out there and you're listening to this, to listen when people tell you it's all about patience. If you take one thing from this episode, just remember that do not get yourself in a hurry. Those turkeys live where you're hunting. They are not going anywhere. They may go somewhere for a short time, but they will be back. I still had 2 hours left of legal hunting time to get a move on those birds. And I rushed the situation, and I blew a perfect opportunity. But mistakes are made constantly in the woods, and as long as you learn from them, that enables you to become a better hunter and a more successful hunter. And I know that no matter how many years of experience you have, mistakes are still going to be made. But it's always painful when you make a mistake on what should have been a surefire situation. But I'm going to stay optimistic about it. And like I said, take the lessons that I learned, and also feel pretty optimistic about the fact that I was able to make a move towards those birds. I was able to realize the situation I was in, got up and moved, followed some gobbles, run and gun, and put myself in a position to harvest an animal this morning. Granted, I didn't execute right, But putting yourself in those situations is half the battle and half the victory towards putting one of those birds on the ground and making a successful harvest in whatever animal it is you are chasing in your upcoming seasons, whether it be turkey, elk, deer. It's always about learning every time you're in the woods, learning something new, and putting yourself in positions to harvest animals. So as long as you're doing that, you're going to be successful season in and season out. Now, what I did learn, though, is this little field that I ended up crawling into is a beautiful little protected covey of a field in the very back of this public land. Now, that creek also runs right down it. So I'm guessing next weekend what my plan is I'm going to set up on that field line, either in a blind or find a big tree. I'll probably take a blind and set out on that field, and maybe even take a decoy or two with me and set up out in that field. Because I imagine that these are the same turkey I heard gobbling on the roost off in the distance, and I heard them last week gobbling out there too. But I had some gobbling in front of me, so I didn't try to make a move on them then. So I'm guessing my goal is I'm going to set up there next week and set up on that field line and put out some decoys and try to bust one off the roost if I can get. I'm hoping they're flying down out into that protected field, because I don't think they're getting pressure back there, because it's the longest walk you can take from the parking lot is to this field, and it's nice and protected. It's a good opportunity for these toms out there to strut. So I'm really optimistic. Like I said, I've learned today. I think I found myself a good area to hunt next week. I'm optimistic. I have still 3 weekends left of turkey hunting to go. Hopefully I can get out in the woods another 5 or 6 times. Hopefully I can bring in one of these birds. And once I can start hunting in the evening, I'm going to try to hit some weekday evenings up. So, and hopefully all the pressure is going to start slowing down in these turkey woods, because everybody gets excited the first couple of weeks, but you got these guys going out there, they'll either harvest their bird already or they'll get discouraged and stop going. That's what I'm counting on. So hopefully the pressure gets off these birds over the next few weeks. Hopefully I can bag 1, maybe 2. It would be a great season. It would be a great season just to even get one on public lands. So wish me luck. Like I said, this is going to be a short podcast. I just wanted to give you guys an update on my season so far, my hunt today. I guess you can kind of call this a field companion, so to speak. I know Joe Rogan does a fight companion, so I kind of stole his idea. So I'm sure he won't mind, or he'll probably never hear about it. That's pretty much it for the episode today. If you have any questions, you got any advice for me, you guys can always feel free to hit me up on Twitter at the IHUNT podcast. You can DM me. You can follow our Facebook page. We are on Stitcher now, and we are on iTunes. So if you are not listening to us on one of those platforms, now you know you can. And also, please rate and review the show across both of those platforms, please. It's hard for me to stress enough on how important it is for you guys to get on there and rate and review this show. I mean, that is the key to getting the show in front of a bigger audience. I mean, I could have 10,000 downloads a month, but if I'm not getting reviews, I'm not moving up any in the rankings or in any of the search engines. So please rate, review. You can follow our Facebook page if I haven't said that already. Next week, I am pretty excited about the guest we have on. I have on Charles Bombard from Healing on the Fly. That is actually his Twitter handle, is at Healing on the Fly. his website is fliesforlife.com. Now, what this man does is he is a disabled vet he's a member of Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing, and they use fly fishing as a therapy for other disabled. They introduce fly fishing as a therapy to disabled vets and to help them with their post-traumatic stress syndrome and other ailments they have from being injured in action. And Charles himself is a disabled vet, and he believes that fly fishing has helped him in his recovery a ton. And I'm looking forward to talking to him and finding out more about the program and how fly fishing has helped him, and about the program Healing Waters and what they're doing for our veterans, because I know you all can agree that the health and the support for veterans returning from war are a primary concern for all of us. And to connect that with the outdoors and to have something as simple as fly fishing being given an impact to these guys and improving their life is a great thing. It's something I want to know more about, and I hope you guys do too. So tune in next week, and we'll have a chat with him, and I will have an update, hopefully a successful update for my next weekend's turkey hunt. So until next time, guys, be safe out there. Let me see your turkey pics, and good luck in the woods. We'll see you guys next week.